Hey guys, welcome to Pennsylvania Patriot. Deer season's right around the corner, and I'm sure all you guys are getting your rifles sighted in or polished up and ready to rock and roll. Um, what I wanted to talk to you guys about today was bullet energy, and there's this like huge misconception on bullet energy, and I don't really buy it. I'll give you a couple examples in just a little bit, but um, to talk about bullet energy, our science community has come up with a formula many years ago, and that's mass times velocity squared. And then you take that and you divide it by 450, 434. That's the total number, 450,000, 434. And you divide that by that, and that'll give you your energy. And what I wanted to do, we'll get down to why energy doesn't make a lot of sense the way it's calculated. So what I wanted to do is bring out a couple cartridges that I had laying around here, and we're going to talk about like why they kill, how they kill, and that it doesn't really have to deal so much with energy as it does with mass or velocity, because one of these two can be a deciding factor on how an animal's hit and how it'll die. Um, I'm sure if you've been hunting any time, you know, you shoot an animal and it drops right in its tracks. And that for that case for me, that happens more often than not. And from what I gather, that's not the case for many people. Um, and I think mine is partly due to my shot placement. I tend to hit just a touch high, and I usually like to use something with a little higher velocity, but I've killed deer with all kinds of rounds, and um, the majority of my deer have been shot with a 270 Winchester, 130 grain Hornady interlock soft point bullet that I hand load myself to about 3,100 feet a second. And it works really good. I've killed many deer with many different calibers, but what I wanted to kind of demonstrate today was like, let's start out with the slow guys. Okay, well we consider slow. So 4570. This is a Winchester hollow point, 300 grain, and I just did some math real quick on the velocities and the energy. So this is a 300 grain Winchester. I think they call them the PowerPoint, or it's the silver box. It's the most common 4570 ammunition you're going to see, and probably what most people, if they're out of the store, are going to buy. You know, people aren't buying up buffalo boar and these plus P loads and stuff to go deer hunting. I'm sure there is guys out there, but the guy that's not a hand loader, this is probably what you're going to buy. And so this is doing 1,880 feet a second, and it's delivering 2,355 foot-pounds of energy. Okay. And this is a 444 Marlin. Now, the 444, if you buy the Hornady Superformance stuff, this stuff right here, this is a 265 grain flat nose, and it's juiced a little bit. And you'll notice a lot of 444 ammunition, it duplicates or outdoes the standard, not the plus P stuff you see from buffalo boar and grizzly, but the standard. You'll see that the 444 kind of outperforms. So this stuff is doing 265 grain bullet, a little lighter, 2,400 feet a second, and 3,389 foot-pounds of energy. So quite a big difference in energy. That's a little over 1,000 foot-pounds of energy. Would you think that this will kill better than this? I've shot deer with both. It doesn't. They both work. The results are the same at the end. Dead deer. Usually a dead deer straight on the ground. Now, these velocities are really modest compared to, a 30-06 or, even a 30-30 is going faster than this 45-70. So does that mean the 30-30 will kill better because it goes faster and generates a little bit more energy? No. No, it kills the same. So let's go to an ultra velocity cartridge. 257 Weatherby. This has 100 grain Barnes tipped triple shock. Copper monolithic bullet. No lead in it. These are my personal hand loads. I get about 34.55 out of these. I can go faster, but that's what shoots really good for me. And the energy on this is 2650. Now, the energy on this was 3389. So you would think energy, this kills better. This is like lightning hitting an animal. It's a stunner. If you've ever shot something with a 257 Weatherby, it's lights out. This is a 6.5 Creedmoor. It's one of my hand loads. This is a 143 grain ELDX. I have this loaded up in Norma brass. And I'm getting right at 2,800 feet a second with this out of my Kimber 84. So it's producing 2,489 foot-pounds of energy. They work. Everybody's been shooting deer with 6.5. That's all the rage, right? 308. This is a non-hunting bullet. I know there's guys out there that do that, but this is a 168 grain Sierra Match King. Very, very accurate round. The expansion on these can be good or they can not expand at all, and that's why I don't recommend them for hunting. So this guy is doing 2650 and giving 2,619 foot-pounds of energy. Now for the little guy in the pack, this little guy right here, this is one of my hand loads, is a 300 Blackout. It's a 110 grain Hornady CX. And I'm shooting this at 2480, and it's shooting bug hole groups. 1,502 foot-pounds of energy. Really light, okay? So some people might say, well, that's 100-yard gun. You only go over that. I wouldn't even hunt deer with it. Well, plenty of deer die every year to 300 Blackout. Plenty of hogs die. This little guy is a 9mm, which probably, no, it is. It's the most prolific pistol cartridge in the United States for sure, carried for self-defense. It's doing 1,190 feet a second with a 115 grain bullet, and it only has 362 foot-pounds of energy. So where I'm going with this is, if you would carry a handgun on your side and trust it to kill a 180-pound man with only 362 foot-pounds of energy. Now, granted, you do have a magazine full of more rounds. If you would trust it, would you trust this with more than 3 times the energy to hunt deer? To further go on my energy rant, every year for thousands of years, we have harvested deer, bear, elk, moose, like grizzly bear. When I say bear around here, I mean black bear, with bow and arrow. Look up the energy of a bow. It is below a 9mm. It's only like 100 foot-pounds of energy. So what does this all mean? Let's bring it together. A bullet's function, if it is designed to expand, whether that be hollow point, flat nose, soft point, or a tipped bullet, function on velocity. The only way they'll expand is to have enough velocity. Barnes bullets, you're looking right around the 18 to 1600 feet per second to have complete, reliable, full expansion for it to deploy. Okay. An FMJ, Full Metal Jacket, or one of these Sierra Match Kings made to shoot targets. They use them to shoot people. There's rules in the Geneva Convention that says you can't use an expanding tip. Sometimes these do, but yeah. These don't matter on velocity. The only thing that will matter with this is how much penetration you get out. So when you peter out with this, it's going to create like really insufficient wounding. And a lot of people there's a lot of people out there that carry Full Metal Jackets for self-protection. Me personally, for 380, I say it's a must. And 9mm is really good bullets out there now that expand and really make this turn into a great little carry option. So the 300 Blackout, this 110 grain CX, you can't really see it. I doubt you'll be able to see it. But there's skiving on this bullet, and it's in two different places. It's close to the tip and then back down here. These are designed to expand at a lot lower velocity than a typical CX. They're designed for this. This is a like purpose-built design projectile for this, and it works really, really good. It's outstanding. Any deer within 200 yards of this, as long as you put it where you want at the velocity, not subsonic. I'm shooting these supersonic. It's going to work. It's going to do its job. It's going to open up and it's going to do its job if you put it in the right place. So if you shoot something that, let's go back to this big heavy hitter 444, 3,300 foot-pounds of energy. Okay. And then let's go with the ever popular 6.5 Creedmoor. A lot less energy. This bullet is designed in here, the ELDX bullet is designed with a higher ballistic coefficients to help it be slippy through the air and to carry its energy a lot further, but not really so much as energy as its velocity. Velocity time, mass times velocity will equal energy. But it will not work if you go below 1,500 feet a second. It's not going to expand. It might expand some, but it's not going to expand much. So what, a lot of people, well, it's 6.5 Creedmoor, man, I can shoot out 1,000 yards with that. Yeah, well, do you want to shoot a deer at 1,000 yards with it? Because I don't think it'll penetrate, but I don't think that the velocity is going to be enough to initiate expansion. So I am in the school of thought of two ways. Throw away the energy part. And hear me out on this. Mass or velocity. If you have both, then that's maybe where I'll go with energy. But the 257 Weatherby it's hauling rear end. And when high velocity hits the thoracic cavity of an animal, it creates such a hydrostatic shock. And that was Roy Weatherby's that was his theory. Speed kills. Look at any of the Weatherby calibers. They're all faster from the era they were made. They were all faster than what existed. And his reasoning was velocity kills. He would shoot a lot. This was his favorite, 257 Weatherby. 100 grain nozzler partition. He took a Cape Buffalo with 120 grain nozzler partition in Africa. That's like crazy stuff. Africa, the minimum now is 375 caliber H&H or 375 Ruger. They don't want you hunting with anything because they go on a different rule. And their rule is frontal diameter. Okay. So even a slow, big bullet will penetrate further than a fast, narrow bullet. It's proven time and time again. Shoot a 45-70 in the ballistics, Joe. You need a lot of it. It drives. So for these big, thick, heavy animals, a 458 Winchester, 375, even a 45-70. 45-70 has been used in Africa many times. It's because they're getting penetration. A lot of times when they hunt animals over there, they're not hunting with expanding bullets. They may have an expanding bullet as your second round, but your first round will be a monolithic or a full metal jacket, similar to what's in this 9mm, just designed for a rifle. They want to break bones and punch through. They want you to break the animal down, break its shoulders, and you're most likely going to have to shoot it again. In America, we would never do that. I don't know if there's any states legal to hunt with full metal jacket ammunition. We go on the theory of we need it to expand. So you would think, well, if you're in Africa and you're hunting something the size of Cape Buffalo, then he used a FM, this monolithic style, big, heavy bullet. When I go out west and I hunt a bison or an elk or a grizzly bear or a moose, why don't I hunt with a full metal jacket, a monolithic style, non-expanding bullet? And the reason for that, I will say this, is first off, we're not hunting with calibers of dynamic proportions for most of our hunting around here. 300 Winchester Magnum are pretty common, 338 for the big stuff. And really, really common is 30-06 and 270. A lot of people own them, and that's what they use. So why do they work just as good as the big ones? Because it isn't energy, because if the 375 has double the energy of a 308 Winchester, why, whenever I shoot an elk with a 375 or a 308, they both die the same if it has more energy? It doesn't work that way. It's a very stupid method of making you think you have something more powerful. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But if I hit you with a 5-pound hammer and it's blunt and flat, I hit you in the head with it, just tap you. And then I take a 5-pound ball peen and tap you with it. I can promise you that ball peen, that pointed tip, because it directs the energy more straight, it's going to hurt worse. It'd be like a woman with flat shoes. You lay your hand down, she steps on your hand, and then she wears a high heel and steps on it. She directs that energy more, right? So that's the function of energy. But in reality, hunting bullets don't care. Your gun, the animal, does not care how much energy it gets hit with. It cares about what the bullet does when it hits. You need to have frontal diameter. So if this doesn't expand, I'm going to get a .257 caliber hole in a deer. It probably will die. It's not going to die right away if it just pencils through, I can tell you. But if I shoot it with this and this doesn't expand, look at the size of the difference in the bullets in these guys. I mean, they're crazy. So we can't go by energy when we go hunting. And if you want something to work, the biggest thing is look at your bullet selection, check out the velocity on it, and know your intended ranges. The 300 blackout's not going to be a great gun to run out to 400 yards on a deer, because the chances are the velocity is going to be way too low to expand this bullet, and you're going to get insufficient disruption of tissue. So, plenty of people like to play the game. Well, I need this giant scope, I need this big round to go hunting deer, and then they walk into the deer woods that's 100 yard or less shot, when this would have been more than sufficient. These work awesome, but they're that's what they're intended to do. These are short range cartridges that work fantastic. This will work great, 6.5 Creedmoor and beyond. This will work great, 308, not with this bullet. It's a proven deer killer. 257 Weatherby is awesome, but it wouldn't be my first choice to take into the deer woods. Not into the woods. I mean, first off, I got a gun that has, with the brake on, it's a 28-inch barrel. It's 26 with a knot on there. If I'm sitting in my deer blind, it's going to be clumsy in there. But this is a great, alongside the field, if you're hunting a power line or something like that, that's a great cartridge for that. But don't fall into this energy and all this craze of like the new calibers coming out. The 300 all the PRCs. If you own a 7 mag, a 300 mag, 300 mag of any kind, Ultra, Wind, the short mag, Weatherby mag. If you own any of those 300s, if you own a 7mm Remington mag, a 7mm Weatherby mag, a 7mm SAUM, a 7mm short WSM Wisdom, and then into the 6.5s, if you own a 284 Winchester, a 6506, or a 264 Winchester Magnum, you don't need the 6.5 PRC. None of the PRCs do anything else that has already been here for many, many years, other than they'll let you shoot a heavier bullet and stabilize it. Okay. They duplicate the exact ballistics of these common cartridges that have been around for freaking 50 years, So if you have one of those, don't feel like you need to run out because you're going to get more velocity or energy. You're just not. You're not going to get more velocity or energy if you just, all you have to do is get on Hornady's website and pull up and look at their ammo and compare them. It's, when you run the same bullets, they're almost identical, and a deer will never know the difference. And I think that the ammunition manufacturers lie to us a lot about, like, they come out with these latest and greatest cartridges, but we really haven't changed cartridge technology other than some shoulder angles and propellant designs. Hasn't really changed. We're still using brass, we're still using copper and lead, and we're still using primers. The new 7 backcountry, that's going to be a lead balloon. I would highly recommend, if you have a 7 backcountry, sell it. I can see in 5 years there not being any backcountry ammo for that, because it's using steel cases. It's running 80,000 psi. There's already pressure problems going on with guys that have rifles. So I don't think it's going to catch on. No, I don't think, I know it's not going to catch on. I've seen better cartridges not catch on. The 6.8 Western is a better cartridge than the 7 backcountry. And, you don't even see anybody hardly making any guns for it. And that's just been a couple years now. So keep that in mind when you're getting ready for deer season on the energy and velocity thing. No matter what you're using, if you've been killing deer with it, keep killing deer with it. You don't have to fall into this marketing thing that our manufacturers out there, they're here to make money. They're not your friends. They want you to buy their stuff. And if the world never had any new cartridges, it would be boring. I'm into it. When the 6.5 first came out, I didn't buy into it for a while because I had this. That's a 6.5 by 55 Swede. Guess what? Ballistically, you can see the bullets are seated out the same length. Ballistically, because this is loaded at a lower pressure because of old rifles, they're identical. They're identical. They shoot the same bullet, same velocity. This one, not so much because I hand loaded them and I brought them up a little bit more. It supersedes that. It's closer to a 6.5 by 284. So anyway, don't fall into the marketing of our, of our manufacturers when they come out with this new 6 arc, and if the 6mm Creedmoor, unless you're into this long range game, and let me tell you guys, most everybody that's hunting right now, if you are living in an area where your shots are within 300 yards, all the legacy cartridges, 308, 30-06, 243, 7mm08, all those do the job. And if you think you're going to be shooting further, that might be time to invest into a Magnum, not for the energy as much as the velocity. That allows your bullet to function a little better. So that's my little rant on energy today, and bullet and ammunition manufacturers that come out with these latest and greatest things because there's such a trend to shoot long range. But in the reality of it is most of us don't shoot that far. I can speak for myself. I've made a few long shots, but out of the many, many, many animals I've shot, most of them were within inside of 100 yards, and a 223 would have did just as good a job on a deer that, that new platinum ultra mag backcountry blah 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 crap that they're feeding you and selling you, and then it ain't going to be here in a couple of years. I mean, look at the 300 Ruger Compact Magnum. There's guys with them sitting in their gun cabinets because they don't even have ammunition for them anymore. And how many thousands of those did they get you talked into to spend your money on? And then you ended up having to go buy a 300 Winchester mag, so because you wanted a 300 mag, and well, the 300 Winchester's been here for so long that it ain't going anywhere, and everybody has ammo. So I'm just blabbing, but that's my rant for today, and I wish you guys all the best of luck here and in your deer seasons. If they haven't started yet, our archery has, and I just wish you guys all the best of luck, and just be safe out there. Always keep your finger off the trigger till you're ready to shoot. Be sure of your target, and as always, aim small, miss small. Thanks for tuning in.